All right. Well, hey, first of all, it's good to be back, talking a little hockey and having some games to look forward to. And like everybody else, there's been a lot of things going on in the spring, summer, and the fall that's led to this. But a lot of work behind the scenes, and we've been the same as everyone else, trying to figure out things. But things moved along. Coaches had a lot of meetings, sport administrators, obviously athletic directors, and stuck with it and kind of banged out the first half of our season here. So we have 10 games before Christmas. And again, for our players, it's been kind of in stages. So coming back in July and working out, they were excited about that. And then school starts, and we still didn't know at the end of August, beginning of September for sure how things were going to work out. So there's a little bit of a unknown for them. But I'm real happy with the way, I guess, that they kept working and kept focused. And then I think as it came more likely and more of a certainty that we were going to get a schedule going in games, then I thought the focus of the guys and the excitement level and the engagement, which is quite frankly was a hard thing to keep going when you don't know when that next game is, or you don't know what the schedule is, just being engaged and motivated. So a lot of that was on our leadership with the team, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and then as well in the coaches. But thought they handled it real well. And then the last couple of weeks, once it was announced that hey, there is a schedule coming, the guys have picked up. They're really looking forward to the game. Thursday, 2 weeks from yesterday now against Arizona State to get going. And again, it's been a tough road, and it's been interesting, but happy with how they've handled it and happy with how the team looks right now. So, and then as I was talking about the leadership, real important in times like these. And we did have a vote on our captains, and Tommy Apap will be back again. It'll be his third year as either an assistant or a captain, 3 out of 4 years. Tremendous leader, tremendous young man, so we're happy about that. And then Tommy Miller, senior defenseman, will be joining him as one of our captains. So we'll have 2 captains, and just absolutely great young men on, off the ice, leadership, just great men and great Spartans. So that's easy for the coaches and the players to deal with. And then 2 assistants, and one being Dennis Cezana, who's he's definitely one of the best defensemen in the Big Ten, and has had 2 great years for us. And one thing that he's starting to add to his game is that just a little bit older, a little maturity and leadership. So we've looked for that from him, and he's providing that, and I think the players recognize that. And then the other one is Mitch Lewandowski as one of our assistants. And Mitch has had a great run here, senior year coming up. He was Big Ten Rookie of the Year, Freshman of the Year, scoring goals and doing a lot of things. And I think he had for as much as you can, had a great summer. He looks outstanding, and I expect him to have a great year. And then the adding of leadership to some of these young men and watching them grow over those 4 years into that role that's recognized by their peers is it's a rewarding thing. It's probably one of the things that I really like to see in coaching is just young men growing up. And when they do leave here, we want them to be productive and great Spartans out in the community. So like I said, a lot of positive things right now. We're healthy. We're getting ready to play. We're excited, and leadership starting to take form, which is good. And all positive things around here.
Just put your question, yeah, type it in the chat. Okay, Audrey, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Cole. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
See you soon. Mentioning the leadership aspect, obviously in this time you said that you were very impressed with some of that just because of everything that's been happening. So could you be more specific in terms of what you were impressed by with your leaders and how you guys were able to handle this COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, well, it's really, if you go back, we got back just after July 4th, and we kind of waited till then, come back to the 6th. We're in 3 different locker rooms. We're not, as coaches in the summer with the NCAA, we're not allowed to, be in the weight room with them or be on the ice with them. So, really our contact is limited. So whatever the culture or leadership that you had really had to come through in those situations. And normally it's an open one locker room. We have the ice from 10 to 12 or 12 to 2, and guys come in, and it's a lot easier for everything. But logistically, the older guys and leaders had to kind of make sure guys were on the same page. They had a certain window for each locker room to be on the ice. They had to come in at certain times and leave at certain times. And again, a lot of that was, we could set that part of the schedule up, but a lot of that was on the guys to patrol themselves and do it in the right way. And it was just, there was a lot of extra responsibility that they had to have. And I thought, did an outstanding job. And that was, from coordinating with Coach Vorkovich, when to be in the weight room and when to be in different places. And then their classes on top of that. So, it ran really well. And the guys got a lot out of that. We had a good 5 or 6 weeks of some real good training that was really, for all practical purposes, player led. So that was great. When we jumped on the ice, we were real happy. And when classes started and we could get on the ice with the guys, just where they were at, and even to the point of, we have 9 freshmen and a transfer, so 10 new guys. Just to the point of, the older guys had taught the younger guys certain things, and things on ice are important, and helping them out with a little bit of that, but we get to that in practice. But really, how things are done off ice, and how our culture is, and how we work, and when we show up for meetings, how prepared we are showing up for meetings, and things like that. I thought they really passed that on real well. And it was a good test, actually, for us in the 3 years we've been here. Did have the things we've been talking about and preaching and trying to establish here, had they sunk in, and I think they did. And like I said, I was especially the seniors, we're real proud of how they've been here all 4 years now, and just proud of how they handled it. And it's not easy for these guys. There's a lot of adversity they've had to deal with, and they've done a great job.
And I guess if I could have a quick follow-up to that too, one of those seniors is Brody Stevens. And what have you kind of seen from him now that you're able to kind of be back together for a little bit? I mean, what do you expect out of Brody this year?
Yeah, Brody looks good. He's in good shape. He's driving hard out on the ice. I think one thing that we had talked to him at the end of last season that we wanted to see was maybe driving the net a little bit more, and be not just accepting the outside, get on the interior, because that's offensively where he's really good and really strong. And then the other one was working on his shot, and not from a hardness but more getting pucks on net and looking to shoot the puck more, because he's got a great shot but doesn't always hit the net very well. So he worked on those things, and that looks good. Like I said, he looks more confident offensively, because he brings a lot of energy to our line. He and Tommy Apap, when they're going and they're playing hard and getting things done, we have a pretty good chance of winning the hockey game. So those are 2 key guys for us. And but no, we like where Brody's at. And again, he's grown as a leader. He's done just a lot of good things for us, and I think he's going to have a great year.
Thank you.
Next up, Sam Squire from the State News.
I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the schedule, and if anything kind of stands out to you about it.
Well, hey, my biggest thoughts is I'm glad we have one. We're playing some games, we're excited about that. But if you do look at it, it's there's some weeknight games, and those are going to present some I don't want to say difficulties, but challenges maybe for us, and just in terms of you're at home and you have two week. That means your guys are going to class all day and then coming and playing, as opposed to being on the road where you're staying in a hotel, and you're getting really good rest. You can maybe sleep in a bit. You're getting good meals scheduled with the team. So it's going to be a little challenging for that at home, and we look at that. And then the second thing I would look at is I'm glad we're getting 10 games in before Christmas. That's a good number spread over that amount of time. But that middle stretch of 6 games, where we have 6 games in 12 days, and that's I'm not disappointed or angry or anything like that about it, but I think it's an interesting challenge. That's quick turnaround for us, and normally we play 6 games in 21 days. So we're kind of cutting that in half, and the recovery time and how we approach practice, how we approach nutrition, how we approach rest will be changed up during that. So that'll be more of a challenge for the coaches to make sure that's rolling on time. But that section there was, like I said, that was probably the thing that caught my eye, and you start thinking and planning the best way to attack that.
Next up, Tony Paul from the Detroit News.
Hey, Dan, a couple of questions. But one, you touched on the captains a little bit, but this year, given everything else that's so much focus off the ice and trying to stay healthy and everything, how much of a bigger challenge and bigger
For us or for the players?
Just for the captains, particularly this year, given all the issues you guys are gonna have to, focus off the ice.
Yeah, well, it's, you know,
Staying healthy and everything.
right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, you know, we talk a lot about the captains and more so the leadership, because we have a lot of seniors, and I always tell the guys, we have 26 guys, in various roles, everybody needs to be a leader, but you know what's really important is when the coaches leave the room. We get done with whatever, a meeting or getting ready for practice, whatever it is, you know, when we lead, that those guys have to take over, because we're around them 2 hours a day. The players are around each other 24 hours a day. So that's where, again, the things that you've worked on and you've built and taught over the previous 3 years, you hope those lessons are pretty deep, because we're not around them very much. And like you said, there's tons of things that are different this year, where it might have been easier in a normal year, where it's okay, this is what we do in September, and now the season starts in October and we travel this way. Well, you know, a lot of those things are different this year, and you know, you look at travel, and you know, we're not chartering in, we're bussing in maybe a day earlier and doing some things. So you know, there's some creature comforts that we're just not going to have this year. And then the schedule, where you know, we're playing 6 and 12, so we'll rely heavily on them. And you know what, it is a bigger responsibility. But I've also found, I think, that again, if the base is there and the things that you've taught them is there, that as guys move forward, young men can handle an awful lot. And if you give them a good reason why, then they usually get the job done if you got the right people on the bus, and I think we do. So, you know what? If you can't tell them why you're doing something, then that's our issue as leadership. But again, they've bought in. They've done a good job. They want to have a good year, and they understand that there's going to be some sacrifice, some investment, but they're willing to do that.
And then just lastly, year 4 for you. What is the outlook, and how big is it to take that, I guess, next step, for lack of better words, for you this
Right.
this year?
No, that's fair. And you know what? I think you know what we are looking at. You know, year after year, what we've tried to do is get a little bit better every year, and I think we've been able to achieve that. And you know, a couple reasons that we've been able to do that, I think, is that our depth slowly improved, and I think that's going to be a factor this year. When we look at it now, I think, you know, putting together 4 lines to get out there in 6D for every night, we like that we're getting pushed by our young guys now. It's not just, we're not scrambling to find, hey, what are the right 12 here? We're saying, geez, we got to leave 3 guys out right now, or 4 guys out. So I like the depth of that. I think our young guys they're gonna contribute. I think Christoph Papp up front is going to do a fantastic job. He's really fit in well and brings a skill dynamic that you like to have. I think AJ Hodges is going to be a underrated player coming in. But I tell you what, after the first half, after 10 games, he's not going to be hitting much. He's going to play a lot for us. You know, on the back end, we've got a couple of guys that we've got 4 freshman defensemen. They're going to have to join our 4 older guys, which is nice, having 4 returning starting guys on the back end. But Aiden Gallagher and Nash Nineheis have shown us some stuff back there, and then you know, even Paul O'Connor and Cal Dibbett. So our defense core I really like, and that's the biggest part, is, you know, you got to have guys that can defend plus move the puck and get it to the forwards. And I think that might surprise some people at the abilities of our guys back there. And then another newcomer coming in, you know, a transfer player. Shoot, I'm driving the ball on all these ways. Charlie Combs coming in has really fit in well and brought some maturity, and he's a goal scorer, and he plays hard on the edges and gives us a little something that we haven't had in kind of like a down-low type game. I think he's going to help our power play, help us 5-on-5, and just really attack. And then that's fairly contagious. So you know, the new guys coming in, I think they're going to contribute. And then, you know, last thing is on your outlook is John Lethman had such a great year for us last year in the pipes. You know, now it's Drew DeRitter's chance, and he's got to take that over. He's going to be pushed by another freshman, Pierce Charleston, but that's Drew's net, and he's got to, you know what, he's got to elevate and be there. And what we've seen over him the last 2 years, we think he can do that.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, Nate Bott from the State Journal.
Hey, Dan, you mentioned 9 freshmen coming in, and then obviously graduation, Charlie. Only 3 sophomores, Nodler, Joshua, and Mueller. What have you seen from them, and have they taken that kind of
Yeah, no, you know what? We were real happy with the freshman group last year, and I think when we were talking a little earlier about depth, is that they came in and they pushed for a lot of minutes. Josh got some power play times. Jagger was really good on the penalty kill. Started on the power play, and we kind of moved more to the penalty kill, and I thought did a tremendous job and really found a niche kind of there. And then I think that those guys are going to continue to expand their roles. And Nicholas Mueller has come back, and he looks great. I think those three, we're real excited about that because their numbers were okay last year, and for freshmen in the Big Ten, not bad. But I think that those guys, their roles are going to increase dramatically this year. We're real happy with their offseason. I think one guy really to keep an eye on is Jagger, though. I think he's really taken a bump. Did some great work in the offseason. He's stronger, he's faster, he's more confident. Probably the biggest thing about him is just maturity, and he just had a heck of a summer in that sense. And again, hard to do when everybody was kind of on their own for the big part. So yeah, that class we really like. And I said earlier, the freshman classes, they're going to contribute and they're going to push and they're going to make it hard on the older guys. And we've always wanted to be in that spot where the freshmen coming in, that the juniors and seniors were saying, oh, you know what? Hey, if I'm not going, those guys are going to take ice from me. And you want that every year. And I want when those guys, these freshmen are juniors, then that freshman class comes in, they got to be pushing them the same way. And that's when you can get things done. And again, something that Coach Exter and Coach Luongo in recruiting have really tried to work on is, hey, driving that depth. And I think we're getting to that point where we can compete up and down the lineup, not just in games but in practice, which is probably just as important.
All right, Neil, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Neil.
Okay, how's this? All
Good.
set?
Yep.
Yeah, no, you've answered my question a little bit about the freshmen, but I just want to know what do you see from the offense with some of those freshmen involved and with returnees that you see that will give you a little bit more consistent offense that you're looking for from last season?
Yeah, I think the thing again, and keep coming back to it, is just depth, and that's depth of your lineup, but also depth in scoring, which I think you're asking about. And I see, we lose Kodorenko last year, which was a decent, obviously load of our offense, and you have to replace that. And then Sammy Saliba and Logan Lambden brought a decent amount too. So the guys that are here, and I talked about the sophomores, they're all going to put more points up on the board. And whether Josh Nodler as a sophomore breaks into the type of point producer we think he's going to be over 4 years here, that's certainly what we're looking for. He has to kind of jump in and take part of that. Charlie Combs coming in, like I said, he'll take a big chunk of that as well. So those are two big. But then again, you're looking at Nicholas Mueller and Jagger. Those are two guys that are going to put some points up this year and score some goals. I think AJ Hodges will contribute. So if you start adding those things up, I think not to put any pressure on Louis there, but Mitch Lewandowski is going to have a good year. I think Mitch will end up with more goals and more points than he did last year. He's kind of he had surgery 2 summers ago, and I think that hurt him off the start, and then sometimes that can get in your head a little bit, and he was kind of just maybe grabbing the stick a little too tight, but he looks outstanding. He's slashing, and I don't worry about Louis scoring as long as he's forechecking and jumping, and he's shown a ton of that so far. So anyhow, you look across the board, and you can pencil in numbers, you can guess all you want, but overall I think we'll score more goals than last year, and then we did a great job defensively, but hey, give up a few less defensively, and all of a sudden you flip your season around. We were really, in my mind, 1 goal away from tying for the Big Ten championship last year. We score in overtime against Penn State as opposed to them scoring against us. And so how close that was a shot that bounced off of one of our guys, bounced off another one of our guys, right to their guy. I mean, it wasn't like a dominating game. That 1 goal would have put us in a tie for first place. Penn State would have had 3 less. We'd had 3 more. And that's how close it was. So that margin of error is not big, and that's how it's going to be in the Big Ten. So, again, we score a little bit more per game, give up a little bit less per game, and, again, you improve year over year, and I think we'll be in a good position heading into the end of the season.
Yeah, and along those lines, you always talk about, most coaches do, about the importance of centermen. What do you see emerging as the centers for this team?
Well, returning guys coming back, Josh Nodler he'll have an expanded role, as I was saying. He'll have to be one of our top guys coming out, and he has the capability and the talents, and I think the attitude to do that. So, he'll bump up, but he was the center last year. Tommy Apap returns. His role is very well defined in terms of being big and heavy in a checking type situation, plus penalty kill, plus faceoffs. And I think he had a great year last year, even offensively. I thought was very good. I think that's going to be even better this year. He's added some things to his game, worked on some stuff we talked about. Mitch Matson did a great job the second half of the year for us at center, and is a big presence. And their line towards the end of the year was giving us some really good minutes. And then Christoph Papp has been taking a lot of time at center as as a freshman. And again, I mentioned it earlier. Christoph has a different skill set than some of our guys in terms of his speed and his offensive creativity. And if we can, he's good and dedicated defensively. If we can get him good enough and find him the right ice time, he's going to contribute. So I like how we are down the middle. We also have some other guys that can jump in there if need be. But I'd say with those four right now, I'd be real happy with our centermen.
All right, next up, Paula from USCHO.
Hi, everybody. I want you all to know that in my little Brady Bunch grid here, Neil Kepke's right in the middle, which I think is completely appropriate. So, just wanted you to know that. So Dan, your season ended before the world shut down, right? And I know it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but does that finality on a season like boom, does that do something to affect the perspective of the team coming in, as opposed to maybe having ended in limbo like a lot of other teams did? Do you think that might be an advantage? I mean, you didn't want to end, but everybody ended, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I guess we could at least move past the point of if you're a team that, hey, boy, we're going to be in the NCAAs, and if you get in, you got a chance to win, as we've seen a lot of over the last years. A lot of teams, 10th to 16 have won NCAA championships. So at least we didn't have that, geez, there was something left on the table, or that unknown, that regret. But if I had to make the choice, Paula, between having it cut off like that or losing the first round, I'd rather have it cut off, and then at least you can say that's where. But it was the week after, so there really was a weird kind of flow to that week where Big Ten basketball was they started, then they thought they were going to go the next day, and that was canceled, and then. Then things got real for everybody in hockey real quick, and by the next Monday, everybody was heading home. So I don't think it's a great deal different. It was just a real weird ending, and then you spent the next 2 months trying to get the guys make sure they stayed on their classes and finished and did a good job there, and then really the great unknown: when are we coming back, and how are we doing this? And guys didn't have weight rooms, and it was just a weird. Kind of situation all the way around. So I don't know if there's a better, but yeah, it left an odd sense. But maybe it gives you also a little bit more urgency when you're playing now. And you always talk about different things with young men, and you always want to say that, hey, these chances come along. Coach Mason was always really good. Hey, you get it. It's hard to win a national championship, or it's hard to win at the time a CCHA or a Big Ten championship. And the urgency of that sometimes is lost. And I think maybe this is. Maybe put a little more in focus for guys that, hey, you get these chances, take advantage, because you don't know. I mean, that's just, and obviously COVID is a huge thing and a worldwide thing, but if you're playing and hey, the next day you're injured, and then you might never ever get a crack at it again, and that's just even to play a game. So you know what, in some ways I hope it drives focus and drives urgency, and that's something that we're always talking about. So but yeah, it's a weird thing, and I really don't know if we'll know until we're going through it this year, how it's really affected everybody.
All right, time for a couple more here. Audrey, go ahead.
Just curious, what is the inside of Monmouth looking like these days? We are able to see the outside and stuff, but what's the inside of Monmouth looking like right now?
Well, the bowl where we play is exactly the same. So all the stuff's on the outside. So it's really truly is an addition. So that part of it, which I think you're asking about, is it's about 65-70% done. It's a bit of a teaser, and it's real exciting when we walk through and look at it. So it's everything's kind of laid out, and you can tell where the weight room is going to be in the offices, and then the Hall of History coming in, and then you go downstairs and. In the locker, everything's kind of laid out, and you have a good feel for the space. So we're real excited about it. again, COVID has, every question we've had here, COVID has affected every one of those things. And, the 8-week delay we had in construction here, that just, we were on a tight time schedule to get done, so that kind of put us past it. There are some things interior we have to do, so we have to delay because we're going to have to move the benches down and change sides and structurally move some stuff, which we can't do in the middle of the season. It's not a one-day thing. It's a month or two thing. So that'll pick back up as soon as our season's done. So, we look forward to that and getting that switched over. But it's real exciting walking through it. And probably the biggest disappointment is we were hoping that, our seniors, and I've talked a lot about them and what they've done over, leadership-wise and helping us build some things here. They've done a great job. I was really wanted those guys to be able to get in there. And, and I give them a lot of credit. Like, we wouldn't have been able to raise this amount of money if we didn't have those guys and guys like Taro and Patrick having such great years and bringing attention to the team and seeing things going in the right direction and getting the community involved. So all those guys have contributed to it. So I was bummed out that they're not going to be able to be in it this year, but it's a good thing going forward. And you know what? Sometimes delayed gratification is okay in this world. You don't have to have everything right away, but we've been waiting a while, and we'll wait a little longer. But next summer it'll be pretty cool moving in there.
One last one with Nate here.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned Nash and Aiden Gallagher on the defensive end. Just wondering how close would that defensive competition be, and is there kind of an idea of what the three defensive pairings are going to be?
Yeah, you know what, we've done it. We mix things around a lot back there, and for a while it was nice. We have 4 old returners and 4 young guys, so we kind of kept those guys together. And then last week we put all the freshmen together, kind of put them on an island by themselves against. So trying to accelerate some learning and some mistakes, which does help. So we've done that. Looking at the big thing in terms of pairs, it'll probably vary. I'd say, we'll do a little bit of that where Coach Luongo running back there, where we have some, veterans and young guys together. If there's some D-zone starts that are real important against a certain line, we might have 2 older guys out there. If it gets later in the game, as you shorten it, it'll probably be the older guys. But I think all 4 of those guys bring a little bit different talent stack to the game. And I think as a core, depending on what we need night in and night out, there's, Nash is very good offensively. Aiden's kind of a good all-around offense and defensively. Powell Connor has been outstanding. He's a physical guy. He's got a great stick, and he's, and then Cal skates well and defends well. And, what I mean? So there's a really good mix of that. I'm kind of excited to see those 4 guys here as juniors and them working with some young guys. I mean, I can see that down the road. But what? They'll have their ups and downs like every freshman, and we'll move them in and out. But there will be competition with those guys, and not all 8 are going to play. I'm pretty sure the top 4 guys are going to play all the time. But even that's not guaranteed. And that's, hey, if there's 6 guys that are better than you, you might not be in the lineup that night. And I think our older guys realize that. All right.
Guys.
Thanks, everybody. See you at the rink soon.